everyone. Welcome back, Guide Through Grief. I'm your host, your guide, Tom Van Ness. I want to thank you for yet again spending some time with us to talk about grief and hear stories and experiences. And, maybe some of these will help you as you understand grief, process your own grief, or maybe be there for someone who's going through their own journey right now. But we are here in season 2. This is kind of a part 2 episode or a revisit from season 1. I have one of my favorite guests, not only of the show, but I think he's easily up there and one of my just favorite people in my life. Um, Doctor, introduce yourself. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Tom. Thank you for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Dr. Ryan Stivers, and my wife and I have a private practice here in the area, and we've been doing that since 2016. So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and it was like 2018
Yeah.
since we've been uh, going through my therapy journey, meeting with you, talking with you, and going through the different parts of my life. So that was one thing that I've always appreciated, or at least that we highlighted in the first season, was just the power of therapy and having that safe, secure space where you can feel comfortable talking and not worry about judgment or expectations or any of those things that can plague our mind and our heart. And I'm really just I talk so openly and happily about our relationship and the benefits of therapy. And so the fact of I once again want to thank you for the work you put into you being able to be here. There definitely was some work on your end to um, put things together and allow you to be here that would allow HIPAA violations not to kind of create the issues and all that stuff. So I just appreciate going those efforts and doing this for people out there that need help, a hand, and understanding. And today's definitely going to be a topic that I think a lot of people going through grief or have experienced grief, no matter what form, whether it's traumatic grief or whether it's just through forms of, divorce or maybe job loss, whatever it may be. Um, there's anniversaries, there's dates, there's holidays that can really trigger you and create grief traps and
Hmm.
make you go through a whole swell of emotions. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today.
Hmm.
What makes today unique,
Yeah.
um, and I think very appropriate for us to do this. And it kind of turned into this over the last 2 weeks, what was coming up. Today's my birthday. I turned 44 today. Um, this was one of the hardest days, like lead up days I've experienced since losing Lizzie. Um, for all those going through, I think especially traumatic grief, there's different things I talked about a little bit in the first season. Kind of that week Leslie got sick and passed away. That's always been kind of a difficult week. This was very similar, but very different.
Yeah.
Uh, I say similar because it seemed to take over a span of several days. Uh, it was very consuming in thoughts and application and kind of my daily life. And it just kind of started kind of being applied to everything. We talked about, I had a session with you yesterday. We talked about a great movie, Pixar. In fact, I even had to ask you what it was. And I even forgot it again here because I just,
Right.
yeah, that's that the boys watch this so many times. There's so many kids' movies it blends in, but it's that character in Inside Out, um, where they're in her brain and she has those different emotions. And there's the character, the blue version, the sad version.
Sadness.
And every time sadness touched a core memory,
Hmm.
that core memory turned blue.
Hmm.
And you didn't learn till the end of that movie what the power of sadness
Hmm.
was. So that's what I kind of felt like this past week. It's also very much, I think, like I read and heard and listened to is like the build up's the worst part. Once you get to the day, it's like, okay, it's not so bad. You know what? I got through it. I can exhale, I can take a breath, whatever that may be. So, we can get into dirty details if we want to, but like the last 7 days or so were pretty tough and sucky, and I was just feeling very blue, and everything I was doing had like a heaviness to it.
Mhm.
Um, and yesterday was a real turnaround day for me, which we could talk about, but ultimately it was really nice today. I went for I'm doing 2 runs today, 2 4-mile runs for 44. After I went on the run this morning, boys and I did breakfast. Boys, came in with some birthday gifts, and some cards saying happy birthday. We got some breakfast. It was a real easy morning. But I think that was why birthdays were a little rough, or are tough.
Mhm.
I love taking care of our family. Didn't care what it was for. Christmas, Easter, a random Tuesday, the middle of winter or the heat of summer. Whatever our family needed, I was ready to try to be there for that and do that. Whether that was the job, being present for the kids, doing things with my wife, I was all in. Leslie made sure, especially on my birthday and Father's Day, those were days I didn't have to worry about. If I wanted to do something, or like, she made sure my calendar was cleared so I could do it. She had cards from the boys,
Mhm.
all of those little things, to where it was honestly a day where I could do whatever I wanted. But ultimately, it's just, it was nice being around them.
Mhm.
Um, but now it was just another day to take care of.
Mhm.
I think that's how I kind of described it to you yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, you know, One of the boys are probably going to hear this, or I'll explain it to him. So I guess I'll say it now. It's like giving the babysitter, $40 and telling them, go take the kids up to Walmart, come up with the idea, hey, let's go get your dad a card and some gifts,
Mhm.
and, and then they go and do it. The babysitter's great and helping them pick out the cards and making sure they sign it and get it in a gift bag, and, you know, coordinating with them, like, make sure you give this to your dad. But a lot of that's coordinating with me, because I know the boys are going to feel bad at their age. They know it's my birthday. They can't go to the store themselves. They don't know how to ask a babysitter, you know, to help them with that.
Yeah.
Um, so it just became another thing to throw a lot of energy into. And I just didn't have the energy.
Mhm.
Didn't want to expend the energy on it. And it hurt.
Mhm. And that's where you use the term grief trap, correct? You know, uh, I love that term because it it's a great reminder that you may not see that trap. You usually don't see a trap, you just step into it. And I use the term ambush as well.
Hmm.
It's out of nowhere, you were right back into your grief.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ambush came. We talked about so many other things that were kind of coming in right now with uh, the birthday and the timing of
There's a
everything.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot of things.
And we can take it on the lighthearted note. You and I yesterday got in got into a good conversation. I almost said argument. It was nowhere near that argument. It was a really good conversation on should I or shouldn't I go. And the Cubs are playing in Game 3 tonight, trying to stay alive in the divisional series against the Brewers. And I had a I got a bleacher ticket. I have a bleacher ticket, and um, I really want to go. It would be really a fun experience on my birthday to be in Wrigley Field
Yeah.
in the bleachers,
Oh yeah.
for game 3 of a divisional series and, root for the comeback, and to start it off. Um, but then I felt wrong.
Yeah. Or like a distraction to you
Yeah,
or what you were feeling.
yeah, that I was starting to feel bad about my birthday coming up and the feelings I was having, and I need to run from that. And it was talked about in the first season with distractions and addictions, and we've talked about other points of uh, one thing I was really, really good at for the last 2.5 years was putting other people ahead of my ahead of myself, if I had my feelings,
Mhm.
and distracting myself and the boys. Like the last 5 days went from taking the boys and the babysitter and myself up to Wrigleyville and sitting at a restaurant to watch the game. Then the boys' football teams end up making the playoffs, so they have practice tonight. So that ended up not being a deal. So then came on the bleacher ticket, and then now that's not right. And outside of it being just a distraction, I started thinking about the boys, and it was really it's almost impossible for me to imagine it being okay where I'm okay with myself going out of town on my birthday, leaving the boys at home with a babysitter, no mom, and dad out of town. Like, what are we to do?
Mhm.
If there's maybe a grandparent here, it would be different, because there's family or something. But I think I ultimately told you yesterday as I was just in an ugly cry. Ugly cry. Yeah, yeah, and ugly cry said it like it was a healthy cry. It was just ugly. There was a lot of tears and wiping and sniffling, and um if I was that torn up over the decision's actually pretty easy.
Mhm.
I shouldn't have that much shame and guilt going to a game. And so the easy thing is to redirect that attention, to a different way. And we sat down and talked about what else can we do for my birthday. And, we I had already kind of started to think about that, and I'm really excited for what I'm doing today. Talked about I'm gonna do 2 runs for 4 miles for 40, for 44. I'm gonna grab some lunch and take it up to the boys' school and have lunch with them.
Yeah.
Uh, the game's on this afternoon. I'm gonna watch it from home. The boys are gonna get done with football practice for the last couple innings, bring them home, watch.
Sharing it together.
Yeah, we'll share it together. I think I'm just gonna go buy a cake because
Why not?
I love making cakes for the boys, and I love making a cake for myself. I this was just gonna be the pass of it,
Just make it easy.
Yeah. So, but I think the important thing to remember is the birthdays are gonna like come back.
Yep.
Those moments, those memories are gonna come back through the boys getting older and wanting to do those things and wanting to,
Yeah.
celebrate their dad. And
Yeah.
um, heck, they did. They did it this morning. In fact, I came out from my room and they said, "Dad, Dad, we unloaded the dishwasher. We got this straightened up. We picked up the toys." I'm like, "Oh, guys, they were so proud of doing it." I'm like, "Guys, I'm so
It was really thoughtful.
thank you for doing that."
Yes.
It's Sterling. I had same time go, Sterling's like, "I know we should have done this already." As I said, and you did it without me even asking, and we all kind of laughed, and and it even came with a moment. I cried a little bit this morning, telling them I really miss their mom and
Yeah.
the effort she always went into on my birthday, and I was really proud of them for like taking those extra efforts this morning and doing some of those things, and uh, the gifts and singing "Happy Birthday" when I came to my room. So
Right.
it was all very sweet. Um, so yeah, so that got into really far ahead of where we were gonna talk about. So grief traps definitely one of the things we're gonna talk about today. We have some lighter things to talk about. We have some serious things to talk about. We're already 10 minutes into the show or so, but we got to come back to our game. I skipped right over it just because we started got talking and
My intent was to get you talking so we didn't have to play the game.
yeah, so there we go.
So I was
So
failed.
we're gonna come back and see. I picked up the Cubs book. I'm like,
I had so many questions to ask. Should have asked them.
write them down. I give you your paper pen. So we got to come back to our game. Um, we need to come back to our game. It's a good game. I've been doing it with the other guests. Um, I do have what we've been going with is the level 2,
Okay.
which I think is connection.
Okay.
Um, and so yeah, I think you should draw first. You can shuffle them up. You can pick them out of the middle.
I'll just go for the middle.
Do whatever you want.
That would be the easiest thing to do.
It's your card,
This is my card.
and it's your answer.
I have a wild card. I have no idea what that means. Think of something that you strongly dislike that most people love. On the count of 3, say it out loud. Not just me, but we both have to do this. This is both.
So maybe that's a wild card. We both have to.
Yeah, that must be
Okay.
what a wild card is. All right. Think of something you strongly dislike that most people love. Oh, my word.
I got mine. 1,
Oh, I don't have one yet. I can't think of anything I strongly dislike. Okay.
2, 3. Answer Italian food.
Sports. I don't know. I don't
Sports.
strongly dislike sports.
Sports?
That's the only thing that popped into my brain.
Okay.
Gosh, I don't. That's not right though. Italian food?
Italian food.
You dislike Italian food?
I sure. I was going back and
playing
forth.
sports. Playing sports.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
No, I was going back and forth between Italian food and meatloaf.
Oh,
Like, I don't think a lot of people love meatloaf, so I was gonna leave there.
staple classic.
I hate meatloaf.
Comfort
Like,
foods.
I despise the smell of it.
Talk about that. You haven't.
I did like, and I don't know why. The only thing in meatloaf I dislike is mustard. Like individually, I like everything in meatloaf. Together, it's gross.
Okay, I can.
The smell's hideous. Yeah, there's bad problems with that. Italian food, my strong discord, dislike, discomfort is like it's fancy, it's nice, the wine's great, but it's like 2 bites of food and I am full.
Mhm.
So like, and I'm not a big leftover person. So to have like all of this food you pay for that I don't really intend on eating because I just I'm on it so easily, just is like, I'll go find something. I'll see.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So pine sports free.
Yeah, it's not that I don't like sports. Playing sports. I'm more of an individual person, so I like individual activities. So maybe I can even more specific team sports. So I'm not a big fan of playing team soccer or whatever. It's just not my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we got that kind of fun, lighthearted piece, let's stay with the tone of fun and the enjoyable things.
Awesome.
The last time you were here, the timing of it. Oh wait, I guess just because it's wild card doesn't get me off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't you
Okay, so we're sure over there. Sorry. Um, Questions are an art form. Create your own question. Oh. Um, my own question would be, as I'm turning 44 or starting a new year, what am I most looking forward to taking on this year? And I think I'm going to get a 2-part answer because I have trouble narrowing it down as always. Um, I think I'm going to probably go for a marathon at the Ability for. I'm like for you, I'm really close. I think I'm I know I can do the distance. It's more of being scared to commit to the training and to the
Yeah,
nutrition
it's
needed
it's
for it.
quite the commitment.
It's another level of commitment that I haven't really given this yet. So I think that'll be one thing I'm looking forward to. The second part of being 44 is I am looking forward to probably having one of my first full years being me. Like, just I don't think I've ever given a lot of time in my life of just being able to be okay with me.
I love it. Taking life on with a new perspective this year.
Yeah, yeah. It's not pushing aside the things I used to love. There's
Yeah.
just a new perspective of things, and there's been a journey so far. And um, we talked about I put a lot of expectations and have put others ahead of me. Not in like a self, not like not I'm not putting myself now up in a selfish
No,
way.
it's okay.
Yeah, but I think other people need to understand they probably battle or may battle with this is, how can I put myself first without it being selfish? And I think there's a lot of ways that can look, and that's, you know, it might be something as easy as putting a timer on your phone saying 10:15 is bedtime.
Mhm.
And if you're out somewhere and that reminder comes 30 minutes before, it's time to start wrapping up. And or it could be training for a marathon.
Yep.
It could be changing a diet. It could be the qualities you look for in friends.
Yep. I love it. I mean, you have done a very intentional effort to think about what you need in a relationship or what you need in life just to be Tom, and you prioritize those things, right, over what you think is expected of you.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to going also this next year.
I like it.
So now we give you kind of a serious answer on a fun question. We'll now jump back in. I'm just always so excited to do this with you and have this time to sit with you. So one of the things we both enjoy, unlike Meatloaf, Italian, and we're playing sports, um, is Dave Matthews Band.
We can agree on that, Tom. There is
Yeah.
absolutely no argument about that.
There's no argument that at all. And so the last time we talked was just before the start of the summer concert tour for Dave Matthews Band.
Gosh, time has flown by.
We
Wow.
both had intended to go to the St. Louis show, not together, but we knew we were both going to be at St. Louis.
You were there.
St. Louis for me, it was St. Louis. Then I was in Chicago. Then I was at Deer Creek, and then I was at the Gorge. So that was a total of 9 shows, I guess. No, 8 shows. Um, you came to Deer Creek last minute with your son.
Yes, it was a last minute decision.
Yeah. So how was the summer tour for you guys?
But I only did 2 shows. I'm going to change that. I think this next season, I'd like to do maybe 2 to 4. Do my first back to back. That would be nice at Alpine, maybe or back to Deer Creek. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, I went to St. Louis with my family, all 4 of us. So we had a great time. And well, my I had a great time. My son had a great time. The girls didn't particularly enjoy themselves, which is fine. They were doing it for me. It was a Father's Day gift, because it was right around Father's Day in St. Lucia. But my son had such a great time, and I really wanted to go to another show. He wanted to go. So I was like, hey, I'll see what we could do. We were able to get tonight one at Deer Creek. That's great. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of coolness we need to talk about that night one.
That was a great show.
So for those that aren't Dave fans, you're gonna have to buckle up and hang on for yes 5 to 10 minute explanation, and I will try to explain to you the uniqueness of it all. For those that are fans of Dave Matthews Band or of Breadcrumbs, Fate, all of the things, get ready for goosebumps. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just think it's kind of a weird, cool story. Um, so we recorded this episode like back in April of talking about the importance of therapy. And right within that episode, around the 30-minute mark, we started talking about the importance of music for me in my grief journey and how important it was for Dave Matthews Band and the role Steady as We Go, the song played in that. For those that don't know or haven't gone to that episode, I think it's episode 4 of season 1. There was a song I sang to Leslie in the hospital. In between prayers, in between phone calls, when I had nothing else to say, I would sing this song. After she passed away, just before July 4th, I'm sitting with some friends in the neighborhood who was really my family support system here. I said, I think I'm going to go to this Dave show in Deer Creek and see, just by whim, he plays this song. 7 of them jumped in the car with me. We all went to the show. They didn't play it, but that started on like a 25 show chase to catch Steady as We Go. That chase started July 1st, 2023. July 7th, episode 4, season 1 is released. I think it was the 7th. It was a Tuesday before the Deer Creek show. Yes. Of that so episode. There was a show in Toronto that night that the band was playing.
Right.
They played Steady as We Go.
Yes, they did.
It was, I think, a 6-year gap since they last played that song. And I'm sitting here like,
I know.
oh,
I should have went to
I
Toronto.
should have gone to Toronto. But then I quickly start thinking, no, they're brushing the rust off. They're getting the rust off. It was kind of partial band playing. It was like, oh man, so wait, there's 2 shows coming up in Deer Creek. And if they're playing it now, usually maybe gets a revisit at the Gorge. Like, this is good. This isn't a bad thing. This is a
We
good
actually
thing.
processed this in a therapy
We did.
session between Toronto and night 1.
Yeah, I can bring that up. Yeah, so like I was jacked, and I was also jacked because I was catching wind from some fans that are in the band that maybe some people with ties to the band or associations with the band was telling them about this episode. I don't know if that's true or not. I if it is, that's amazing, and I love those that went to those efforts. If not, and it's just coincidence, what a breadcrumb from God. And even in that aspect, yeah. So then we fast forward. That was that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is night 1 at Deer Creek. It's July 11th. 2 years and 10 days into the chase. I think at this point it was like 19 or 20 shows in. I see you before the show starts. Quick hello. See where you and your son are and hang out with you guys in the great family section there that they have at Deer Creek. Several songs into the set for the night, Steady as We Go starts. Night 1 was also my 41st day show.
I have forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's the significance of 41 is they call it kind of like your birthday song. One of the band's most popular songs is song 41. And there are people that have gotten to that song and they hope to get song 41 played at that night. And Steady as We Go was my song 41. I would much rather take Steady over song 41. And I think I got 41 the next night on night 2, which was still cool.
That's great.
But I got Steady and it started to play and I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I got weak in the knees. I got choked up. I had my head went into my hands. And not too long after that, I felt an arm around me, and you were there.
Yep.
You had found where I was at, and was right there. And that was something else, man. I just as amazing as it was to hear that song. You beat there was just as important. And how awesome for the stars to align,
Yeah.
for their son to love the experience in St. Louis enough to create the opportunity for you guys to go to Deer Creek well before the episode dropped, well before study as we played Tuesday night. Like everything just, we've talked about breadcrumbs. And I don't know if there's been a bigger breadcrumb of how
That was cool.
a week played off.
Yeah, it's
And
really cool.
I know we've talked in this episode about the lead up to the hard ones.
Hmm.
But man, we got to be able to sit back and celebrate the weeks of the great ones
Yep.
because they do happen.
Yeah.
They do come back, and they do win the day. Um, just like in the song, "Good times they are gold."
Hmm.
And I need a minute, so feel free to talk
No,
about something.
Man, I'll talk a little bit about that moment. He played, well, Pig is one of my favorite songs. And that was my third show around the UB, but I've always wanted to hear Pig live. And so he started off at P&P, and it's like, okay, is he gonna do Rapunzel? Was he gonna do Pig? He did Pig.
Hmm.
So I was jazzed about that.
Great opener.
Yeah, I love Pig. And I got to see the Zach who wears the pig costume dancing around. He
I
went,
ran into Zach a couple times
yeah,
this summer.
he went down the aisle this pig costume, and it was great to see that. And then I was tearing up during Pig just because it's Pig. I just love the lyrics of that song. And then he goes right into Steady as We Go, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what a perfect little spot,
Yeah.
And I remembered where you were seated because I went and bought, like, I don't know, ice cream or something, and that stand was right in front of where you were at. I remember seeing you and waving at you. I came up and talked to you just briefly there too. And I knew immediately. So he started to play. I'm like, I have got to get over to Tom. You know, I mean, this is just insignificant.
Yeah, you had to fight through some crowd, and it was like
Yeah.
probably 100 yard,
Yeah. Yeah.
75 yard kind of
Yeah.
jot, through a walkway through the crowd. So the fact you got there so quick was like parental instinct.
Yeah, I just
Almost in a way.
I knew.
So yeah, no,
Yeah.
so that was,
It was really awesome.
yeah, I mean that was the highlight of the tour, was finally getting Steady as We Go. That was I think last time it was played on the summer tour. So it was played that Tuesday and that Saturday.
Correct.
Back to back shows. Um, so just, it was amazing. And my heart was so full after that. It was a summer tour of not a lot of like friends from here going with me. In fact, there's a lot of cancellations.
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
I'm originally planned, a lot of people saying they were going to be able to go, and then life happens or other plans happen, and they can't. Um, the the airlines issues, really put a damper on Chicago's weekend. Um, and there was a lot of joys of what did happen. I got to see a lot of my Dave family this summer and spend time with them. As a result,
Cool.
that was always going to be part of the plan, was to continue to merge kind of like the Dave family and my real world family, and just because there's so many great people on both sides, and I love how those worlds mix, and I think the people are just great. So the summer tour was great. No fall tour, no runaway weekends, which is fine. My pocketbook and my credit card are really happy with that.
Plus, it's-
Yeah, and yeah. So I did get
and needs to rest.
yeah. I did go to a couple other concerts this summer that I really wanted to, that were Dave related. And yeah, so often we run. But I wanted to talk about, you know, something we both enjoy. And I think,
Yeah.
like a week or like, I for those 20 some shows, I worried about the grief trap of Steady as We Go. Like, what would actually, like, the first couple songs, I was like really hoping to hear it. Like, after I didn't hear it, I think in Deer Creek and then that weekend at the Gorge, like after the fourth show of that chase, I was like, what is going to happen when I hear this? What's it going to be like for you? What's going to happen to it? And, um, it was a really happy moment. We talked about, I think, a, a big turning point in grief. Is turning point the right word? I guess it is, for lack of a better term. I think a turning point or a momentum shift where you become where grief becomes a part of you instead of it taking over you, kind of a thing, is where you learn to hold grief and joy in the same
Yes. You
moments.
integrate it into your story.
Right. Yeah. It kind of like bringing in the Dave world and my real world
Yeah.
friends together. It's kind of like when you can start to
Yeah.
bring joy and grief together.
We'll build together.
Yeah. There's really something beautiful that can come out of that. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
I was sad, but I was also really happy that that was a weekend where it all started. The chase started. It was my 41st show.
Yeah.
It came out that week of like the podcast was just coming out, and that episode of All was like getting just, attention from it. So I'm serendipitous is a great, a great description of that. A lot of friends from me, Morton, have usually gone to that show with me, and it didn't quite work out this year. Uh, but one of my best friends from here, Joey, was able to come up night two. So that next night,
Right.
I think that was like his fifth or sixth show with me through the chase. Easily by far the one who came with me on the most of them. So we had an awesome night two of just, I didn't have to worry about, am I or aren't I going to hear it?
Yeah.
Like it was just a fun
Get
night.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Just let loose.
Yeah.
Self.
Yeah. And then that brought on the Gorge after that and just had a great, run there. So it was great. And I think that's, even though some things have been difficult in processing grief and the times I'm at in my life and the things I'm going through, things have been, I think, running well, running strong. A good balance of holding those moments of grief and joy together. The boys are doing well. They seem to be head on their shoulders. Our sessions, I feel like, are productive and helping me, and that's leading up to this birthday what caught me so much by surprise. Um, in what Why it became difficult,
Mm.
why it became scary,
Yeah.
um, why I'm still. One thing we didn't get into there at the start was the distraction is like, for me, either spending money on something to experience
Mm.
and mask the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
um, or like run away from it. Because I think leading up to our session yesterday, I just was wanting to give my birthday the middle finger. Like, okay,
I would see that. Yeah.
how can I just stay here, not spend money, have some time with the boys, but just like Scrooge my birthday?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That's, I think that was the other form of the distraction took on for today.
Yeah.
Um, but then I think ultimately having the glass half full kind of mentality, having a session of therapy.
It's good timing.
Yeah, and it really, yeah, I think it really was, and it helped me. Well, especially just once again, I think the kudos and the benefits of therapy. There's so much going on with grief, with joy,
Yes.
with the daily life, that I needed a safe space that wasn't a friend, that wasn't a family member, that wasn't a coworker. I needed an appropriate person where I could lay these emotions and help me talk through them.
Yep.
You know, there's other forms that we can use to help us get there. That I think, and that other people going through grief can think of. I mean, I started to say lay them out there on the table. Through prayer. If really been hammering in some of these anxieties and feelings that I have. You can journal about them.
Right?
Um, there's all kinds of self-help books of getting through things that I do, but
Could you imagine what today would be like if we didn't meet yesterday? You know?
yeah.
I love that idea of taking your feelings out and putting it on a table. I'll take it one step further, and it's almost like you have a backpack on, and that backpack is where you store your feelings and you carry them with you. And so coming to a therapy session, particularly yesterday, was like, okay, these are the things I'm feeling in my body. And I'm going to take them out of my backpack and lay them out on the table. Let's talk about those. You really needed to do that yesterday because you would have been carrying those same experiences and feelings into today, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would color the day completely different than what you're feeling right now.
And I really did unpack them yesterday. I think that's the other thing I would say. I think the important part of therapy is it's a two or three part, or I guess the first step is going, but the second step is actually showing up and being engaged in those sessions,
Right.
of being able to willing to bring out those emotions. And there's been things I've held off bringing to you because I wasn't quite ready sure how to say it.
Sure.
But that's why we meet weekly. So
Yep.
when I'm ready, I can bring them up. And um, so I really, with how surprising this grief ambush was, with so much of wanting to celebrate my birthday, but not knowing how to,
Right.
um, because I want to be able to celebrate it. I want to be able to call it my own.
Right. I would and keep in mind too, there's people who want to celebrate you as well. And had we not had yesterday, my concern, excuse me, is would you have still been kind of lost in those feelings of the ambush and of the trap to the point where the people around you, like you would miss out on their celebrations of you, right? So you've got to remember that, and this is true for anyone, that birthdays are a two-way street. It's you celebrating you, but you celebrating you, but also other people celebrating you. And that's why it's so important to be mindful of that. You would have completely missed that. Well, maybe not, but you definitely would have had a different feel to today had you not had a chance to walk through what you were feeling and put some names to the grief that you were experiencing and the shame and frustration and the anger.
Yeah. One, I I had a friend trying to celebrate me yesterday before our session, complimenting me on my running and trying to talk me into a marathon. She knows who she is. She's one of the big avid runners in our friend group, and
Yeah.
she's actually the one that inspired me to get out and start running and
Okay.
do a half and
Yeah.
maybe get up to a full. So she's about broke me and got me in. But she said something, and I just kind of had a blue moment. Like I responded with a bleh. And she goes, "We'll talk about this when I get back. Cheer up," and it was and I said, "Sorry, I'm just feeling down, mm, lately, and I'm sorry about it." And she asked what was wrong. It was just a nice little friend interaction part, that helped. But that's when I realized, yeah, here's someone that's like excited and has been a cheerleader in a corner and been someone that's like engaged me to get out and like discover myself. And here I was like just saying,
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, she was probably wanting to celebrate your success with running as well.
yeah. No, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
she's getting together a fundraising group for next year,
Yeah.
doing I think the Chicago Marathon, and I was like,
Cool.
yeah, Chicago's great. I'd rather do New York. Like it's going to be hard to do New York, yeah, but I'd rather do it. I was just kind of like being stubborn and being an ass. Um, so I'm sorry. You know who you are. I was a jerk yesterday, but I think I said I'm sorry. I'll look at my phone after and text you just in case. But good luck in Chicago running the marathon. You're gonna do great. Um, so yeah, I would have probably bounced out of it, but it probably would have been too late.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would have created more the shrapnel.
Yep.
that would have been damaging to others, maybe friends, maybe the boys, and maybe myself. It's a possibility, yes. So yeah, I think the timing and everything worked really well. I'm glad it happened just almost like the session I scheduled with you after the vacation. That just coincidentally was right after I landed.
We have had a lot of
But I think I've always
interesting sessions.
I've been conscious of knowing when sometimes I just want to have them.
Yeah.
I do weekly meetings and I'm like, yeah, I think I want to do it before my birthday, not after my birthday. Yeah, this week.
That's fine.
So and then I knew we had this coming today too, so that's good. But I think there's a lot of other birthdays and anniversaries out there, that are really important to highlight and talk about. And it's not just birthdays. For people who have been widowed, it's definitely anniversaries,
Right.
engagements.
Right.
It might be a place.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be a day.
Yeah.
I think the thing with grief traps, it can be, I, I want to say there's no definition. There's no boundary to the trap.
Yeah.
Like this person had the grief trap has like the ultimate get out of jail free card. It can show up wherever it wants, however it wants.
Mm-hmm.
It might be there's TV shows I can't watch
Mm-hmm.
because there were shows less than I watched.
Exactly.
And I'll just sit there and just about like, man, she won the like we'd be laughing over a lot of them were like trashy reality TV shows she liked. So it's not too hard to miss, but I'll see them like on the guide or I'll see it in like some kind of like social media feed and I'll just be like, oh, we'd have been shaking our heads.
Well, even award shows.
She loved award shows. Yeah, those were the red carpet moments were really big. What we did those nights was really important. Um, so yeah, I think there could be anything from shows to songs. I think where people live. I've heard stories of it being maybe a vehicle. It could be clothing. It could be a design in their house. It could be the bedding.
Stores, restaurants,
Yeah,
so forth.
yeah, and I think after some time considering the impact of those is an appropriate time to react. A lot of people ask me about the house, about the house we live in because Leslie and I just bought it. We just gutted it.
Mm-hmm.
We designed it, remodeled it all ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she had a company help us kind of line up a couple pieces of furniture where we had some gaps, but the design of this house was all the two of us.
And our fingerprints were everywhere.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, isn't it hard?
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I asked you that question a long time ago.
yeah, and it to me, this was like great being here because it just felt so much like her. For the boys, it felt so much like home because the most recent memories they had of their mom was here. I think where it a bit harder was our last house, where the boys grew up at such a young age. We went through COVID, just after COVID. Like there was just a lot of growth in that house. That would have been a hard one to stay in. Um, this didn't feel at any point like a grief trap, but I know some homes have. Her closet, or like her closet in our master bedroom, it's like a bigger walk-in thing. And guys who are listening, you'll appreciate this. I never had any of that closet space. I was in a different room down at the basement where all my dress clothes were. I had like a sliver to like fit 6 shirts. That was about it. After a couple weeks, I couldn't walk by the closet to get into my bathroom without it just like wrecking me, and my babysitter at the time, her and her mom and her family run a clothing store. And this was just about the awesome community of people. Like the two of them came over and perfectly, delicately folded all of her things and separated them by color, by season, by type, and stored them all away. So when I was ready to address those things, they were ready. And they took the most respectful care of them. But I couldn't see them anymore. It was a trigger and a trap every day is where it started going. Her car was also one. I didn't need it. It wasn't going to be something I kept. Um, I needed to. get rid of it for a multitude of reasons for the payments and other things, but it was something I didn't really want to hold on to very long. I think it was right around a month after it was gone. Because every morning I was going out to the garage, getting the boys in the car, and for the three of us, it was just sucked. It just sucked. So
Yeah.
I think for all those that are going through grief, it doesn't have to be a day. I think I can still remember what we did. Um, and some of the aspects, like when my parents told us we were getting divorced. You know, one of the most uncomfortable places for me to have a conversation, which is the boys' most favorite place to have a conversation, is my bedroom. And not because that's where I told them their mom died. It's because it's where my parents told us they were getting a divorce.
Mm.
So I think there's all kinds of things that can trigger us and trap us into taking us back to the moments where we felt the most sad,
Mhm.
where we get choked up.
Yeah.
We see it a lot in movies. Yes. Yes. So much in movies. It takes us back to a feeling, to an emotion, to a moment in our life. So I don't think anyone's wrong. That's the point of all of this. Like, it is so okay to be taken back to that point, to have that feeling, to have that. And I urge you to like hug it, love it,
Yeah.
embrace it.
Grief doesn't happen in a straight line.
Yes.
It's recursive. It's circular. You can't even quantify it. I mean, we would love to predict it. Everybody wants to predict grief, so we don't feel like we're ambushed or stuck and trapped. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works.
And I think the benefit to knowing, like for me, knowing what the birthday does to me now,
Yeah.
the potential,
Well, just you wait. It's going to shift and change.
it's going to shift to something else. Like
Right.
once the boys do get old enough, or once I am, dating someone or remarried and they take care of me on my birthday, there's going to be another experience. Yeah, where I feel shorted. Yeah, yeah, where the kids are going through graduation or going through the first. Like that's going to be a constant grief trap for me. Whenever the boys are going through those milestones.
Yeah.
But I think the point I'm trying to say is knowing those are grief traps are also the moments where I can, just because of the way I'm built,
Mhm.
the attention I choose to put into myself and knowing I know those are moments I'm going to be sad, but just like a holiday, just like my birthday, I know it's sad, but there's greatness, there's joy with it.
Yes.
The boys' milestones. I can't let my sadness overpower their high school graduation.
Exactly.
I can't let my sadness overpower their championship win in football, whether it be JFL or, maybe one day they win the state championship for high school. I can't be sitting there crying like, your mom would be so proud of you. This so isn't fair. Like, I'm going to think that. I know I'm going to feel those kinds of things. That's not the point of it. It's just knowing that it's there and respecting it and holding space for it. I think people are scared to hold space for it. Yes. They don't want to be seen crying. They don't want to see needing a hug.
Yeah. They have their own expectations for what it should look like.
Yeah. Yeah. Then what they are feeling doesn't match that expectation. So cry away, hug away. If you gotta pick up the phone and call someone, um, it's so appropriate. It's so fine. I don't think there's a you gave me it felt weird that I have to plan my own birthday stuff. Are you reminding me, Tom, if you want to do something with people on your birthday, do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
But go ahead and plan it.
And let your boys celebrate you and let the people who mattered most to you celebrate with you.
Yeah. So I called my parents the other night. The boys don't have school next Monday because of Columbus Day. So we're gonna go in Sunday night back to Quincy, have a little family dinner, spend the night, come back Monday.
Awesome.
And
Perfect.
and I said, Mom, let's just have a little birthday dinner. And she goes, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming home. So yeah, just for the night. That wasn't any kind of announcement, Quincy or Morton. Just for the night, just for 24 hours. I don't know. The other one that might be left on there we didn't talk a whole lot about was kind of an update of where I'm at in my therapy. And I think the things I still battle, whether they be really, related to my grief or just my own personal journey, which were things I was battling before Les had passed away. They had just done out a little bit more amplified of, you know, it's still a struggle to work on giving myself grace and dealing with my own expectations, dealing with the false expectations I put on other people. You know, there are all kinds of struggles we continue to have and never, I think, like grief finish. So I think just, I don't know. I don't think you disagree with that. I think those are all different. They come in different heights or come in different waves because of the experiences we're going through in life. This obviously is just one where it's a little bit more amplified and even some attention. Um, and then we gotta start wrapping up. Um, Season 2 is about having guests on the show to share their grief journey in the moment they have where they experience grief. And I know today was kind of a revisit of my sessions on the couch and, how my grief journey is going. But wrapping up today and the time we need, like, do you mind me asking, like, do you remember an impactful time, whether it be, we know that there's no boundary on what we experience in grief. Is it a loss of a person or of a pet or of an experience? I was recently talking, with someone who, gave up drinking, you know,
Yeah.
I guess they kind of describe as California sober. Um, but they realized the pain drinking was bringing into their life in many different forms, and how it was also kind of a mask kind of piece. So they talk about like the grief and like in that moment of deciding, oh, this is when it's done. This is what I've done. Yeah, so I'm just saying not that there's no boundary on what creates that grief, but
Right.
asking you, you've been here, so much there for supporting me and not saying how can I support you, but this is the platform where people can understand that we all experience grief.
Absolutely.
So is there an experience you can think about that's worth sharing and talking about the impact of where that kind of has you today?
I have probably two moments in my life story that stand out to me. One, when I was about 14, freshman in high school, my middle brother actually died of cancer. So that was probably the most significant, like, first experience with grief that I had experienced. Prior to that, I think um, my grandmother passed, but I was like 8 when that happened. But the most significant was when I was 14. And that had a profound impact on me because it really shifted a lot with how my family did celebrations. Um, his loss, because at the time he was married, he's in his later 20s, married, had 3 children at the time. But it definitely cast a shadow over Thanksgiving, Christmas, other family sort of celebrations, and I could feel that kind of shift, and it was very different for me. And watching other people grieve too during that time frame in my life, watching my parents grieve the loss of a child at such a young age, um, watching his family grieve, it was definitely a heavy season that following few years, right? And definitely part of my own story and journey with therapy as well, right? So here's a therapist saying, even a therapist has a therapist. So that has come up in my own personal discussions about impacting me and how I'm unpacking it. Definitely something I still even feel to this day. I have, and I feel it when I see his children hit milestones.
Oh
So
yeah.
recently, one of his kids um, married into a relationship where he took on a couple. children from her previous relationship, which was very special and awesome. But also watching him become a father with his first biological child and thinking, gosh, I wish my brother could be here to see this. And my brother would be so proud to see his son, being this awesome man. Right.
Yeah.
And that almost sounds like a celebratory grief, it has kind of a positive spin to it. And it is,
Yeah. That's holding that both that
Exactly.
joy and that grief at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So to answer your question, that hands down is probably the biggest experience with grief that I had and still have. Because I miss my brother. I didn't know him, but I have a lot of fond memories of him chasing me around the house as a kid. He's 14 years older than me. So right, I'm a little kid. He's a high school student, right? He's going off to college. I watch him do that.
More of like a role model.
Yeah,
Kind of someone that you
yeah,
look up to.
yeah, more like an uncle even, not necessarily a sister,
Mm-hmm.
because that age difference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that still creeps up. I still feel it to this day, especially as his kids grow and launch into their lives.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Especially in our relationship, we don't get to, yeah, and there's not a reciprocal, conversation that gets to happen, all that often in relation. So, thank you a lot for sharing that. And um, that's incredible. The fact that we can look at whether it's a sibling, a spouse, um, for any of that's listening and watching, we lose someone and that grief journey is never over.
Mhm.
It's continuous, right? Um, it just becomes more a part of our life and how we learn to handle it. So, with all of that, I think we're gonna wrap up the episode. I think that covers everything. So, all right, I appreciate coming back.
Yeah,
We'll,
anytime.
yeah, we'll do it again. We'll talk soon. So,
Yeah.
in our next session, and we'll have those sessions to create maybe more stories from the couch in season 3, or some other point. Maybe you suggested a live social media post.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes we should do a social media deal. So, I appreciate you all very much. Thanks for coming in today and listening. Love you all very much. You got this. I got this. We're all going to get this. I'm Tom Van Ness, your host, your guide through grief. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today. I hope today's episode will help guide you forward. My goal for this podcast has always been to create a safe place for people who are navigating their grief journey to lean on one another and share their own experiences. I ask that you share, subscribe, like, and comment so we know how to best support you. Finally, we rely on listeners like you to help keep this journey going. Guide Through Grief is dependent on the support and contributions from you. Please consider supporting the show and our cause. Visit our social media pages or click the link in our description for more information. Thank you.